Welcome, everyone, to Ladder Daily Digest. We honor creators, and today we're a bunch of creators sitting in Tim Rathbone's living room. We're going to talk about highlights of 2024 and things to look forward to in 2025. Tim, do you want to start off and do a quick one, and we'll come back to you later?
Let Robert go first.
Okay, we'll just let Robert go first.
Well, aloha. Thanks for including me. 2024 was an amazing year in all things Mormon. For me, my favorite thing was seeing David Archuleta and his mother choose love over dogma. That was inspiring. And then he put out that song "Go to Hell Together." I was really touched by that. What did you all think about the Archuleta experience?
It was too short for me. I wish it had been a little longer.
I thought it was amazing that that they put their names out there and put the reputation out there and had that courage. His mom is, I think she's an example to all of us to have that kind of courage to stand up for family and say some things are more important even than what we used to call faith. The real faith ought to be faith in each other. So good for her.
Yeah.
That's right. I invited her to come on the show someday, and she said she'd think about it. So,
oh, wow.
That's kind of fun. Go ahead, Tim. Talk about something good that happened to you in 2024.
My neck operation. I got my neck operated on. I got life extension, who knows how long. But
was that a surprise, or did you know something was in the pipeline?
I knew it was in the pipeline. I just wished it had happened a couple of years ago rather than this year. But it's okay, it's done, But I've known about it for 3 or 4 years. And I kept on talking to my pain doc. Well, what can we do? Fix it, And I kept these 2 fingers would go numb on both hands. And when it got that bad, it's time to do something about it. I said, well, we've known about this for 2 years, and you give me shots in my neck and stuff. Yeah. So why is it taking
cortisone?
I guess that's what it was. I don't know. But when it got that bad, it's time. And I had the best doctor, Dr. Waba. He's an Egyptian. He's the best doctor here in the Central Valley. I got him in April, I think it was 9th. Went into the hospital, woke up.
It was April that you got your operation?
Yeah, it was April. And 6 weeks with a brace on, and then 6 months of rehab, and just really great.
So was being on podcast part of your rehab?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Sure, it's living life.
Yeah. I'm just grateful he kept me out of a wheelchair. We talked about what could have happened, and it was a lot worse than he thought it was, and he knew exactly what to do. I'm just so grateful that the universe pointed me in his direction so he could do what he did.
That's right. What else happened to you last year?
Well, and every June, my roommate, my housemate here, Daryl, he gets the volunteers for Bill Shatner's Hollywood Charity Horse Show. So every May or June, we go down to the Horse Center in LA and we volunteer for his auction and this show. And that was, I think it was a week or 2 after I got my brace off, I went down there. And then in August, Bill invited all of us to his office, all the volunteers that go to his office. Yeah, and that was nice. I got a new car. Yeah, my car died, and I got a new car in end of October. That's the other thing I'm grateful for. Yeah.
That's right. And you bought tickets to St. George Thrive.
I got a ticket at St. George Thrive, so I'll be there.
The end of February, beginning of March.
Yep. Let's see.
So, Joe, how did your year start in 2024? What was it? What was the start of 2024 like for you?
2024 sucks for me pretty badly, pretty much all year. Apart from, I did Hellfire Agency, my true crime podcast, which I enjoyed doing. Took up a lot of my time. I did lose one video client. I started a new gig working as a paralegal freelance. Very grateful for that, but that again took up all my time. And luckily that's kind of slowed. Unluckily that's kind of slowed down a little bit. But I was kind of grateful that it did, because in December 2024, I launched the Church of Korihor, and it's been like a revelation for me. Hey, welcome back, Robert. I almost called you Bobby. I don't know. I don't know that I have that permission yet. My flesh and blood cousin, Tobler. The Church of Korihor has been amazing. We're 4 godless sermons deep into it now. I have invited the first person to be ordained to our central clergy. That's Jenny Gage. I announced that yesterday. She will be second herald of the Church of Korihor. Those of you know Jenny, she's got a great channel called Life Take Two, ex-Mormon woman, brilliant, amazing leader. Yesterday, I converted the first oath of reason, which is our version of a baptism, was me 2 weeks ago. Last week, I baptized the first person, or I gave the oath of reason to the first person who has requested to convert to Korihorism. And at that event, another person messaged me on Facebook while that was going on to say, I want to take the oath of reason and become a Korihor. We haven't really even started advertising or promoting, and I've got people champing at the bit to become Korihors, and I'm so ecstatic about it. I do think it mainly is to save on tithing, because our tithing is $2 a month. And so I'm thinking about an advertising campaign, like 15 minutes can save you 10% or more, but something like that maybe. But yeah, so I'm excited about our first mission of reason, in which we are going to make and distribute 300 blankets and put them on unhoused people in Utah who are being neglected in the cold by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and by their members out here.
You're hoping that many will be called, but few will be frozen.
That joke was a lot funnier before I volunteered at a warming center. I went to a warming center on Thanksgiving with Nate, who is one of my directors, one of the members of the board of directors of the Church of Korihor, and saw what these people were living in. And it's shocking how these people are barely surviving, frankly. And most of them, out there, healthcare when you are sleeping rough is non-existent, basically. And these people, I'm sure that a lot of people, the locals, the people who are nice and warm and happy inside their houses, do think it's just a shameful thing to see people out on the streets who are talking to themselves, who are doing all sorts of things that may seem unsightly to somebody. But what are they supposed to do? When you're too cold to survive, you're certainly not going to go in and get a Medicaid card and go in and get healthcare services, or go to therapy. It's just not plausible for these people. And, we're doing a small thing right now because we're a small, poor church that doesn't have any money at all. And we're going to be putting together, donations and getting people to put money into helping us keep people as warm as we can, but at least putting blankets on them, because that's like the number one thing that the non-denominational groups out here are saying is they need blankets. And they also need socks. That's a big thing, but we're tackling blankets for now. So we're going to make and distribute 300 blankets to warming centers, to car camps, and then go out and we're going to put them on people sleeping rough. And that's how we're going to get started. In the future, it'll be more complex. Then my goal for 2025, we're calling this operation Rapture 2025. By March, we're hoping it'll be warm enough that we're not going to have to worry about people in the cold. At that point, it's going to be people in the heat, because actually, believe it or not, as bad as the cold is here in Utah, the heat actually takes more. And that's a little difficult to do without having air conditioning with, something. So I don't know how many of you know this, but here in the church, in Salt Lake, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is selling church houses left and right. They're closing stakes. They're closing these buildings. The average price that they've been asking for is between $1.4 and $1.6 million. And I've been looking at that, and I've been saying, for what they are, these churches, it's actually a hell of a deal, $1.4, $1.6 million, just for the real estate. It's a good deal. And these buildings, I mean, we all know what Mormon church buildings are like. They're good buildings, actually. They're really well made. They're solid. The ones that I've seen are all red brick buildings. They have big, beautiful, full courts in the cultural halls and everything else. So here's what we want to do. We want to buy a Mormon church house. They're probably going to put up a legal stink to try and prevent us from doing it. But frankly, we just don't know at this point, because we think they're probably desperate to get rid of them. Some of these have been on the market for a while, and they're just looking to get rid of them. But
plus, we're pretty sure that they don't watch our show, so they're not going to know your plans from our end. That's not.
It's a big question. Like there's two ways that we think that they might get blocked. We know that sometimes they require covenants to be signed that the building will go to a church, that it will be a church, and then the Church of Korihor is a church. The other one is, so that's a non-problem. The other one is the possibility that they may require that unless the church has been the church it's going to be pre-approved, that you have to raise the building down to the ground. And
hey, Joe, since we got Robert back for a little while.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely.
We'll come back to you again in a little bit. Robert has released some good TikToks last year, and he also was interviewed by one of the top Mormon tangential shows on YouTube, Latter Daily Digest.
Oh yeah,
a couple months ago. And so
I know them.
So what else has been happening?
I had one more question, Joe, about your church purchase. Can the church legally do that and specify who can and can't buy it and what they can and can't use it for? Is that legal?
Yeah. From what I understand, and I'm not an attorney, I'm barely an unlicensed paralegal, uncertified paralegal, I should say. From what I understand, they can require it. They can use covenants to require it, but we don't know how tightly they're controlling that, or if they are indeed putting covenants on them. So we don't know you don't know until you try. The other side of that, though, is that there's another Mormon church who, I hate to say this is good news, but it is. The Community of Christ Church, I have a little inside track on that. They are not just sort of failing. They are going under. They are basically in the last throes of it, which is actually kind of sad because they finally have a woman leader. They finally have a prophetess. But she sold the Kirtland Temple to the church because basically they are that badly in hock right now. From what I understand, they're trying to break even here. And there are apparently rumblings inside the church that saying that they think that the church has seen its last winter. So basically, and that's sad. It is sad when you think about it. I mean, I got no love for Mormonism. I'm going to be honest with you, ever since I was excommunicated. But these guys were the good ones. The few warming centers, and I know I'm taking up Rob's time here, but the few warming centers that did open in Salt Lake, the Community of Christ was one of them. And it's like, that's sad that the church has hundreds of billions of dollars. The big church has hundreds of billions of dollars in assets and is selling its churches. And now they have to compete with that. They're just trying to break even. And they're actually trying to do, and it's not common. You'll hear these words out of my mouth. They're actually trying to be Christ-like. They're actually trying to do Christian work, And so I'm like, if the Mormon church won't sell us, if the big Mormon church won't sell us their buildings, we'll go to the little Mormon church and we'll buy theirs. Otherwise, we'll go to, I know that there's a small Christian church in West Jordan that's been trying to sell their building for a while. And there's one, I believe, in Cottonwood Heights. So we've been keeping our eye out on different churches. There's a Mormon church in Payson that I'd really love to have. It's 100 years old and it's like a gorgeous building. I mean, we'd probably have to bus people down to Payson, but anyways, the point is this: you guys know that like the church out here, not the church official, but the members have been our neighbors here in Utah have been trying to get ordinances passed and try to get. They've basically weaponized the law to prevent churches from opening their doors as warming centers. And so a lot of these churches, what they wind up doing is they open it all night as a all night movie night. And they'll take the projection screen in the front of the chapel and put movies on all night. And then they'll say, you can't stop us from having all night movie night. And you can't tell us who we can and cannot invite to all night movie night. And I thought that was gorgeous. I thought that was beautiful. I mean, talk about civil disobedience. I'm like, you guys are doing Korihor's work, man. And so I said, you know what we should do? We should buy one, call it a 24-hour worship center. And even better, we'll call it a 24-hour library and worship center. And then we'll take all those primary rooms and Relief Society rooms and all those, and we'll put books in them, and we'll put little private reading nooks in them so that people, you can't sleep. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I can't sleep and there's nowhere I can go in Utah, you can't go and hang out at 7-Eleven all night. I would love to have a 24-hour library where I could go and curl up with a nice book for free and just kind of settle in and read a book all night, in a private, warm, comfy reading nook with a door that you can close, have some privacy. Why not? Right? That's what I'm looking at. That's my goal for 2025. I'll fail. And I say this with my people all the time. I'll fail and I'll start again. And I'm looking for people who have the courage to fail with me. And we will fail and we will fail. And we will fail until we either figure out all the ways there are to fail, or by some stroke of luck, we'll go home, is what we call it. So we're going home to the world we want to see, because we change lives. We change painful lives into lives worth living. And then I talked so much that we lost Rob. You know what? If you get me started about my man Korihor.
So maybe I'll talk a little bit about things that have happened for me. It actually started a little more than a year ago for me. It was for the beginning of 2024, because I had interviewed Radio Free Mormon. Summer Rain had joined me, and I at the time only had 125 subscribers. And over the next week, the show that we did had over 8,000 viewers, and we tripled our subscribers to over 350. And so that started January off with a bang. And then in late February, early March, we went to Thrive, and we're able to meet a lot of people. And then I went to Bangkok in April, and that was fun. Got to stay with Brother Jones for 20 days. And then I had a birthday in June, turned 65. And so I officially started getting Social Security just to see what I can get there. And then went to Sunstone in August. And then at the end of August, John DeLynn came on the show. That was a highlight for the year. And then 8 weeks ago, we started Tuesdays with Tim. And that's been one of the last highlights, we'll say, for the year. And so looking forward to this year, 2025, of doing Tuesdays with Tim, keeping that up, see if we can keep that going. as long as possible. Not sure if we'll have the stamina that Mormonism Live, as they just finished their third year, I think, of doing shows, maybe even more. I can't remember. Probably fourth year, because I think they started during COVID summer. But anyhow, Tim, do you have any goals this coming 2025?
Still thinking about some things.
So we got Thrive.
We got Thrive. Yeah, go to Thrive. I like to visit friends in Salt Lake.
That's at the end of March or end of February?
End of February,
beginning of March.
Beginning March.
And I'm actually hoping that Tim and I will do a show. I'm not sure what people know about Tim's excommunication. So I was wondering if we'll try to get a show together where we talk about, more details of what Tim did, maybe the 10 years prior to him getting excommunicated, because Tim, as far as I know, got excommunicated for sharing truthful history.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty interesting story, if you ask me. So we'll try to make it a 30-minute show or something and get that out there. Document it.
Yeah. I just want to say, Joe, I'm grateful for your blanket thing. I've been homeless twice in my life. And it's hard out there. Luckily, I had a car I could sleep in. But,
yeah.
And then second time was with my son. And so it's a good thing you're doing.
How young was your son when you guys were out there?
Oh, he was in his 20s.
Wow. That's rough, man.
10 years. Oh, it was about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're in a better situation now, Tim. I hope it continues to get better for you.
I know I'm going to have to move this year, so that's another goal. I think I know where I'm going to go, but yeah.
Probably not Hawaii.
I wish. Although I can afford Hawaii.
Yeah.
Where it's warm.
Well, Rob will let you crash on his couch. I'm sure.
Never been to Hawaii. I've never been.
Never been to Hawaii?
Nope.
What?
Nope.
That's right. I did interview Exmo Joe last year, about 3 months ago.
Did you really?
Right.
Oh, he's the worst. He talks too much. He's always talking about himself.
Yeah, and
he's always talking about his stupid paintings.
And you had been collaborating with Heidi Love. Tell us some highlights of collaborating with Heidi Love. What type of shows did you do last year?
I have been working on collaborations with two people, only one of besides, of course, being on Latter Daily Digest several times now. I've been working with Heidi Love, and I've been working with Beth Magnetic of Mormon True Crime. And Heidi Love and I have had a great, podcast creating partnership. She's Christian. That's cool. She loves me the way that I am, and I love her the way she is. And we talk about her conspiracies. She enlightened me to so much Mormon history. I'm going to confess something to you that I confessed to her. She was startled. I have never read any of D. Michael Quinn's content, anything he produced, and she's read it all. She knows all of it frontwards and backwards, and all the theories surrounding it. But like she clued me into a lot of the occult. I'm like, yeah, I mean, like he was into, Joseph Smith's family. They were into like some occultic like stuff, Solomonic magic and so forth. And she's like, oh no, this is full on Joe. And she's like, what do you know about the Mars knife? I'm like, I don't even know what a Mars knife is. And she's like, oh, let me show you something. And she starts going down the pictures of items owned by, I'm like, what? And together, Heidi Love and I, we went deep into all the conspiracy theories. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I don't do that. I pride myself on that. I don't buy into things. I'm a critical thinker. That's why I'm an atheist. And this woman clued me into some things that I went, okay, wait a minute now. There's something. I still don't believe in the devil, in spite of the name of my podcast being Hellfire Agency. But I tell you what, that there are people who practice devil worship. Yeah, that's always been a thing. And Heidi clued me in on some things that made me go, man, I think I'm so confident in how much I know about Mormon history. This girl's got the goods. But we went deep on the Mormon Mafia. So in Las Vegas, and how deep the connections ran there with Howard Hughes and the FBI and so on and so forth. And I'm like, if you say Howard Hughes and the FBI, normally I'm like out. I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear it. And she like clued me in. She's like, no, there's some real things to look at here. And I got to tell you, I might be a budding conspiracy theorist after talking to Heidi. But the real exciting thing is Beth Magnetic at Mormon True Crime. She and I talked about doing collaboration on some of the victims of Ted Bundy. And we started recording some episodes that we never released. And in the process, because, we were like, we could be doing so much better on both of these channels in terms of what content we're creating and how fast we're churning it out. Because neither of us were churning out content enough for our subscribers. And so I said, Beth, we should be teaming up more, like not just an occasional episode. We should team up on the regular and like do this like for real. And she and I have been talking for the last couple of weeks. 2025 is a year. I can't reveal too much of what's going to happen, but Mormon True Crime and Hellfire Agency are going to team up, and we're going to change the world. So right now I've taken down all my true crime content off of YouTube, taking it down. It will not go away forever. It's coming back here by May, but in a new form. And my channel at Hellfire, which is currently at Hellfire Agency, will change, is now the official page of the Church of Korihor. And we are taking Church for Atheists and our godless sermons, and we're moving forward to the Church of Korihor. So I'm really excited about the changes. Hellfire.agency will continue to exist. People will still be able to support the podcast, but it's going to be in a new format that I am really excited about. So those are a couple things I'm excited about.
Good. I know that Heidi said she would come on in the next month or so, and we're going to try to talk about some sort of conspiracies, rumors, whatever, in the Salt Lake Valley over the last 50 years, we'll say. And we're going to talk about some things. Something about high school. I was surprised that you guys haven't talked aliens yet. Yeah, you get, because I know you guys are into that stuff. Tim is as close as I get to aliens.
Oh, okay. I thought
there's going to be some big alien stuff happening this year.
No, but she's really into like the Nephilim stuff and like all that, and like the ancient Atlantean. That's too far out for me. I'm like, okay, sure,
yeah,
whatever.
But the only people worse than Jesus at being late for dinner are aliens, right? Jesus has been late for dinner for the last 2,000 years, and the aliens, ever since Roswell, we've been waiting for all those things.
I don't know, man.
We might have some of the technology
we got the stuff going on back east in New Jersey.
Yeah, drones. If drones were something nobody
here
knew
in
about
Utah
this year.
Here in Utah, we had drone sightings.
We have some here too.
Speaking of Tim, I was watching an episode of The Old Man.
The Old Man.
And the CIA had a drone watching where the old man was. And so he shot it, right? And didn't get arrested for it. In fact, there's still a manhunt going because I'm watching season 1, which aired like 2.5 years ago. And so we'll see what happens. But
I'll tell you what, I was one of those people who always said, that you guys think the government's so much more sophisticated than they actually are, until I started doing true crime content. And boy, let me tell you, I was startled. Like the police, there is nothing that local police departments and sheriff's offices are not capable of, man. they will cover it up. They will get into some dirty business, and they will cover it up, and nobody will ask a question. I mean, it's startling what they get away with. So I'm like,
that's right.
I don't know, man.
Who's watching the watchers, right?
That's right. This guy, Hellfire Agency. Hellfire Agency is not going away. Hellfire Agency will die for our sins.
The other thing about drones is Ukraine apparently is using drones a lot. I just saw recently all the drones they used to basically demolish the North Korean elite armed forces and just obliterated them.
You know, they use ATACMS that we gave them, but they don't have very many of them, right, compared to Russia's. I was just watching a thing where they're publishing like the details on a Ukrainian company has designed a missile that will fly further than ATACMS. ATACMS, if you don't know, are pretty remarkable weapons. So it's like, I mean, and they're producing enough of them that they can basically continue their war.
So all I can think are the drones manned by teenagers somewhere in America, the Ukraine drones, and they're just playing video games, and they don't know that they're really killing.
I would think that they have enough Ukrainians to do that. That's possible. But I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, enough Ukrainian teenagers in the army.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that they do take them pretty young out there. I mean, basically, as far as I know, I think they actually draft pretty much every male over the age of.
All I know is once my kids became like 8 or 9, I couldn't beat them in video games.
Yeah. Did you see that footage? They have they had footage where they rigged up an old single propeller plane to fly like a drone, and they loaded it up with dynamite, and they flew it into Russia, flew it behind enemy lines, flew it into Russia, and there was a person on the ground recording it as it came in, and they flew it into a police station and just set it off. Just like an old little passenger plane, got nobody in it, just loaded up with dynamite. Kaboom. It's like wild how they're conducting that war over there. But yeah. Which I neither endorse or unendorse as a spiritual leader.
I'm going to get Joe back on and talk more about it, the Church of Korihor. It's just an episode of Latter-day Digest pretty soon. Yeah, so we'll just wrap up the show now, Tim, and make it a nice, sweet half-hour show for our audience. For our
Wish
viewers.
everybody a happy New Year.
That's
Merry New Year.
Glückliches neues Jahr.
Korihor's wisdom be upon you.
Yes.
That's right. So for most of America, it's going to be the next year really soon. It's probably in New York by the time this is over. Might be almost ready for the ball to drop. All right. Happy New Year to everybody.
Hope Happy New Year.
Happy New
Year. Have
Year.
Some things, going good in their lives. And hopefully you can watch Exmo Joe stuff and watch Tim's interview with me and all the interviews that we have coming up on Tuesdays with Tim. All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.